Friends, a very good afternoon to all of you and a warm welcome on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep. I am Gaurav Gupta, and in this series of sessions that we are conducting for all of you on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep, the series is meant for all the students who are preparing for CAT 2023. So yes, the upcoming session of CAT, the examination will be held in the month of November, and the sessions that we are conducting, these are specially designed for the students who have already started their preparation or who are planning to start with their preparation for CAT and the other management entrance examinations that will be held in and around November December 2023. So welcome everyone. Hruday, good afternoon, good to see you in this session. Greek UKFF, hello. Very good afternoon to all of you. People are coming in this session with very weird names. So one student is Innocent. Wow. So good afternoon everyone. So friends, welcome to yet another session that we are conducting for all the students who are preparing for CAT 2023. And the basic agenda of conducting these sessions is to build up the fundamentals, the foundation of all the students. Now, generally, you will see sessions in which people will discuss some higher level problems, but we forget about our basics, we forget about fundamentals. So we here at BYJU'S Exam Prep have decided to first of all build up the fundamentals, the basics of all the students before we'll keep on increasing our level, and we will give a proper direction to the preparation that you are doing. Now the topic that I have selected for the day, this is a topic that is easily ignored by the students, the basics of number systems, and today we are going to discuss only about fractions and decimals. So a very short session, it will be 20-25 minutes, maximum 30 minutes. But in this session, we'll be talking about rational and irrational numbers in detail. Also, we'll be talking about the different types of fractions. All right. So let us quickly. Okay, so Hruday, yes, I believe you have already requested me earlier. Please conduct one class on how to start DLR from beginning. So Hruday, recently, like a few days back, I have taken a session on the LRDI section, and I have given tips and techniques how to basically proceed with this section. So that session must be available in the recordings. Okay, so you can go through that session. All right. So let us quickly define agenda of today's lecture, today's session. Now in the agenda, I'll be having classification of numbers, a brief introduction about the different types of numbers. Okay, we'll spend 2 or 3 minutes on that. Next, after that, we'll be talking about rational and irrational numbers in detail. Now, this is one of the most important branches of numbers. Okay, and we'll spend good amount of time, 10-15 minutes, on the discussion of rational and irrational number. Now, during the discussion of rational and irrational number, we'll encounter different types of decimals. The decimals can be terminating decimals, non-terminating decimals. They can be recurring, they can be non-recurring. So we'll be talking about all these types of decimals and how we can convert a recurring number into a fraction of the form p by q. All right. Okay. All right. So CAT aspirant, I don't know the name, but you're saying that you have enrolled in CAT complete course. Good to know that. So you will be one of our students. Shri Kartna, you're saying please conduct a session on how to start preparation for algebra in QA section. It is a challenge for most of us. Definitely, Sankirtana will be conducting sessions on how to basically handle arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and different parts of quantitative ability. So in near future, yes, I'll not promise you that I'll be conducting it in the next 3 or 4 days, but definitely in the month of February, probably in the first week of February, I will conduct sessions on all these things. All right. Now, after talking about decimals, then we'll be talking about different types of fractions like proper fraction, improper fraction, and the mixed fraction. So this will be the entire agenda of today's lecture. All right. Now let us start with classification of numbers. Now, can anyone tell me, there are some students in this session, so can you tell me what can be or what are the top two different categories in which the numbers are classified? I'm asking for the top two categories. I'm not talking about the random two categories. So I'm talking about the top two categories in which the numbers are classified. Yes, anyone? If you can write those two names. So primarily the numbers are classified in, yes, anyone, the real numbers and the complex numbers. Now, complex numbers or imaginary numbers. So complex numbers are those numbers which can, which basically have a negative number in their square root. Or if you know the term iota, so complex numbers or imaginary numbers will have iota in them. All right. Now, the main important thing is talking about real numbers. So let's have a look at the entire classification of real numbers. Now, I'll be looking at the top two or three categories only in this session, and later on we'll be talking about the others. So Arjun says rational and irrational. No, Arjun, it was real and complex numbers. Now, talking about real numbers in detail, so real numbers can be classified among two different categories, rational numbers and irrational numbers. Now people face a lot of confusion while talking about rational and irrational number. So it gets a little difficult in understanding which type of numbers are rational and which type of numbers are irrational numbers. So if I'll write a few numbers, then and then ask you which numbers are rational, which numbers are irrational. So we tend to commit some mistake when it comes to the numbers which are recurring or which are non-terminating and non-recurring. Okay, so today we'll be discussing about each and every type of decimal number which is related or which is categorized under rational and irrational numbers. All right. So first of all, let us discuss rational and irrational number in detail. Now, the copybook definition of rational numbers is simple. The rational numbers are those numbers which can be expressed in the form of P by Q such that P and Q are integers and Q, the denominator, is not equal to 0. So any number which is originally in the form of P by Q or which can be expressed, which can be converted in the form of P by Q such that P and Q are integers and the denominator Q is not equal to 0, these numbers are called rational numbers. All right. So any number which is originally given in the form, let's say 5 upon 2 is a rational number. 2 upon 7 is a rational number. All right. Now it is already given in the form of fraction, so we don't have any problem in dividing or in determining whether this number is a rational number or not. Now the problem comes when we have the numbers given in form of a decimal. Okay, so let's say there is the number 4.5. Now 4.5, no problem at all. I can say that this will be a rational number because 4.5 can be expressed in terms of fractions. So 4.5 can be written as 45 divided by 10, and further after cancelling out some common factors, you can convert it in the simplest form. But I can leave it here. My the agenda is over. I wanted to convert it in the form of a P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. And I'm successfully able to do that. So 4.5 can be written as 45 upon 10, and it's an example of rational number. All right. Now next, let's say the next number is 4.55. Now further 4.55 can also be written as 455 divided by 100, which is again converted in the form of P by Q, and hence it is a rational number. But when it comes to a number like 4.555555 and so on, it is non-terminating decimal. Then we have a confusion whether this number is a rational number or not. Okay, so we are going to study this particular type of numbers and we will distinguish them between, we'll categorize them between rational and irrational number. All right, so let us get into the details of rational and irrational number. For that, we need to understand different types of decimals. Okay, now there will be 4 different terms I'll be using to define decimals. The first 2 terms are already there on your screen. The next 2 terms, we'll discuss them in a few moments. So, first of all, the decimals can be of the type. So I'll write the all the categories. So decimals can be terminating, or they can be non-terminating. So these are the top 2 categories in which I can divide the decimals. So terminating and non-terminating. Now, what do we mean by terminating? What do we mean by non-terminating? Now, first of all, terminating, English meaning of terminating means anything which has an end हो रहा है. Okay, so that means decimal के बाद कहीं ना कहीं number जाके खत्म हो जाता है. So if I take some examples of terminating decimals, the examples can be 4.5 I have taken earlier, 4.55, 6.2983 is a terminating decimal because decimal के बाद terminate हो गया. 4.66666, that's it, terminated. Okay, so any number that will be terminating somewhere after the decimal place are called terminating decimals. Small mistake. Okay, so that are called terminating decimals. Now, every terminating decimal can be easily converted in the form of P by Q. So if I look at this number, if I look at 6.2983, I can write it as 62983 divided by 10000. Okay, so this is the P by Q form where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. So this qualifies the definition of rational numbers. So I can say that this type of number, this type of decimal will be a rational number. All right. Hello, Tanushri. So this type of number will be a rational number. Okay. Similarly, if I take the next number, so I can write it as 4.66666, okay, which is 4666666. एंड जितने डेसिमल्स के बाद डिजिट्स हैं 1 के आगे उतने zeros लगा दो. So we all know this thing very clearly. Okay, so once again I can say that 4.66666, since it has terminated somewhere after the decimal, I can convert it in P by Q form and this will be a rational number. Okay, so one thing we can conclude from whatever we have learned up till now, that if a decimal is of the form of terminating decimal, then it will be a rational number. Okay, so this type of number, I can very well say that this will be a rational number. So again, any decimal which is terminating in nature will always be a rational number, right? Okay, now let's talk about non-terminating decimals. So I'll open another page. Now, non-terminating decimals. Now, non-terminating decimals are further categorized in 2 different parts. So decimal के बाद obviously digits जो है वो terminate नहीं हो रहे हैं. So that means decimal के बाद जो number है वो कभी खत्म नहीं होगा. It is non-terminating, कभी भी end नहीं होगा. Now, after the decimal, there can be 2 different possibilities. Either the numbers that are there after the decimal, they may show some kind of pattern, some kind of repetition, or they may not show some kind of repetition. All right. So there can be 2 possibilities. So if there is a certain kind of pattern that is shown after the decimal, if there is certain repetition after the decimal, then we call that type of non-terminating decimals as recurring decimals. Recurring का simple meaning है repeating. So recurring means repeating. Okay. So non-terminating and recurring decimal. Okay. So it is non-terminating, decimal के बाद कभी terminate नहीं हो रहा, and decimal के बाद कभी ना कभी कुछ ना कुछ pattern show कर रहा है. For example, 4.5555 and so on. It will never end. Okay. Or I can take another example, 6.434343 and so on. So you can observe that decimal के बाद 434343 repeat हो रहा है. Okay. Or I can take another example, 6.927 272727. So decimal के immediate बाद repetition start नहीं हुआ है, but after one digit the repetition is occurring. So 6.927272727 and so on. So this we call as recurring decimals. So these are non-terminating but recurring decimals. All right. The other category is non-terminating and non-recurring. All right. So in this case, obviously, it will not terminate after the decimal and it will not even show any kind of pattern. So random कोई ना कोई नया digit आता रहेगा. For example, 3.142856729583 random कोई भी number आता रहेगा. There is no repetition. There is no pattern at any place after the decimal. Okay, right? So yes, Arjun, recurring and non-recurring, they will definitely come under non-terminating numbers, non-terminating decimals to be precise. Okay, so non-terminating decimals. Okay, so if the decimal is non-terminating, right, terminate nahi kar raha hai, to ya to wo pattern show karega, that means it will be recurring, or it will not show any kind of pattern, it will be non-recurring. All right, okay. Hi sir, there is GMT exam on Sunday for exam Bhubaneswar. I can't find much information about it. SP Learn, this is basically yes for SIBM, SIM Bhubaneswar. This is a separate examination. So SIM Bhubaneswar basically conducts its own examination as well as they have admissions through ZAT examination. Okay, right now I cannot provide you much information about that because this is not our agenda. Okay, I don't want to dilute this agenda, but you can definitely get some more information over the internet. Definitely, there is a plenty of information over the internet about this examination. Okay, so now we are clear about non-terminating decimals, which are categorized in recurring and non-recurring. Now, the major important thing is to basically classify these numbers in rational and irrational. अब मुझे डेसिमल तो पता लग गया, बट अब ये वाला नंबर रैशनल है या फिर इरैशनल है, ये पता करना पड़ेगा. ओके, सो इट्स सिंपल एज दैट. इफ I can convert this number in the P by Q form, then it will be a rational number, else it will be an irrational number. Okay, so rational and irrational, the classification will remain very clear. Anything which can be expressed in the form of P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0, will be rational. If I cannot express a number in the form of P by Q, if it is not a rational number, it will be an irrational number. Okay? So if I'll go back, we have clearly seen that the terminating decimals are rational. Now, what about non-terminating decimals? So non-terminating, we have done another two classifications. Okay, दो और classifications कर दी हैं हमने, which are recurring and non-recurring. अब इनमें से देखना है कि recurring type of numbers, are they rational, or non-recurring type of numbers, are they rational or irrational? So let's get into the details, which is the most important part of this session. Now I'll open another blank screen. Now, first of all, I'll be talking about recurring numbers. So the decimals which are recurring. So let's say x is equal to 4.55555 and so on. All right. Now, my job is to try and convert this number in its fractional form. So let's do that. Now, x is written in front of you as 4.55555 and so on. Since I can see that the repetition, the pattern is starting immediately after the decimal. Okay, so this is what you all can notice. The pattern is starting immediately after the decimal. Okay, now there is a single number that is being repeated, 4.55555 and so on. Now the portion of this number which is creating a problem is after the decimal. सो डेसिमल के बाद वाला पोर्शन मेरे लिए प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर रहा है. सो इफ आई राइट अनदर नंबर which has the same thing after the decimal and do the subtraction between these two numbers, then I'll be able to eliminate the portion after the decimal. This is my agenda. So I am backtracking. मेरे को करना क्या है? What do I want? Okay. So मेरा end product क्या होना चाहिए? उसके हिसाब से मैं define कर रहा हूं कि मुझे what step should I take? So basically I repeat, I need, if I write another number which has the same thing after the decimal, let's say 6.55555, and I'll perform subtraction between these two numbers, then the portion after the decimal will be subtracted, will be removed, will be eliminated. And this is what I want. But I cannot write any random number. So that number should be in the form of x. So in this case, if I'll shift the decimal to one place to the right, if I'll shift the decimal one place to the right hand side by multiplying the number by 10, then I will get another number which has the same thing after the decimal. So what I'll do is I'll multiply this number by 10. So 10x aa jayega on the left hand side, and on the right hand side I'll have 45.55555 and so on. Okay, so now I have two numbers which have same thing after the decimal. Now I'll perform subtraction. 10x minus x on the left hand side, it will be 9x, and that will be equal to 45 minus 4, that will be 41, and the portion after the decimal will be eliminated. So the value of x will come out to be 41 upon 9, which is the p by q form for the original number x. Definitely I'll be taking some more examples, don't you worry about that. Okay, so first of all, I noticed one thing. Please make a note of it, all of you. I noticed one thing, that the pattern is starting immediately after the decimal, right? Point number one. And second point is, I need another number which has same thing after the decimal. So that is why I multiplied this number by 10. Let's take one more example. I'll write it on the right hand side of the screen. Now let's say the number is 6.232323 and so on. Okay. Now we have again the repetition, the pattern starting immediately after the decimal. So this is in the standard form. So first tick mark, done. Second thing is, the pattern is of 2 digits. So to obtain a number which has same portion after the decimal, in this case I will have to make a shift of the decimal by 2 places to the right. So for that I'll multiply this number by 100. 100 से multiply करना पड़ेगा. So 100x का value आ जाएगा 623.232323 and so on. Okay, now you can perform subtraction. So 100x minus x will come out to be 99x on the left hand side, and on the right hand side it will be 623 minus 6, that is 617. So the value of x will come out to be 617 divided by 99. Okay, right? So using these two examples, you can understand how to basically convert a recurring decimal into its p by q form. All right, I'll take one more example of a different type. So let's open a blank slide. The value of x is 9.314141414 and so on. Now in this example, you will observe that the repetition, the pattern is not starting immediately after the decimal. Okay, so in that case, first of all, convert it in the standard form where the repetition is starting immediately after the decimal. For that, I'll shift the decimal one place to the right by multiplying the number by 10. So first of all, I'll obtain 10x, which will be 93.141414 and so on. Okay, now this number is converted in the standard form. Okay, now I'll start with the process. So now I need another number which has same thing after the decimal. So I'll shift the decimal place 2 places to the right hand side by multiplying this number further by 100. So इसको 100 से multiply करेंगे. On the left hand side I'll have 1000x. On the left hand side I'll have 9314.1414 914, and so on. So now I have these two numbers which have same numbers after the decimal. Subtraction can be performed. So now 1000x minus 10x will be 990x. On the right hand side, it will be 9314 minus 93, right? Okay, so perform the subtraction. It will be 9221 divided by 990, whatever it is. Now you can get the final answer. Okay, so using these three illustrations, you will understand how to basically convert a number of this form into its P by Q form, right? So I can say that the numbers which are non-terminating and recurring, the numbers which are non-terminating and recurring, they are also rational numbers. All right. Now the next type, non-terminating and non-recurring numbers. The numbers which are non-terminating and non-recurring numbers, this type of numbers are irrational numbers because we don't have any P by Q form of those numbers. So these type of numbers are irrational. All right, fine. The examples for non-recurring decimals or examples for irrational numbers are any number in the under root sign, provided it is not a perfect square. So you can put any number in square root. It should not be a perfect square. So root 2, root 3, root 5, root 6, root 7, root 8, root 10, and so on. All these numbers are the examples of irrational numbers. So we have plenty of examples for irrationals. So like root 3 ko dekhoge, it is approximately equal to 1.732. But if you calculate the complete value, this value will never terminate. This value will never recur. This will not show any pattern. All right. So these are the examples of non-recurring decimals. Also, pi is an example of non-recurring numbers or irrational numbers. The approximate value of pi is 3.142. Okay, it will never terminate. It will never show any kind of pattern. Also, exponent E, approximate value, I believe 2.71. If you remember, again, these are irrational numbers. All right, fine. So this was the main point of this lecture. Now let's move ahead and look at the types of fractions. So fractions are the numbers of the form a by b, where a and b are both integers and b is not equal to 0, right? It is basically same as rational numbers, right? So rational numbers basically are divided in two parts, fractions and integers. In case of fractions, the denominator also should not be equal to 1. All right. Okay. So 5 upon 1, I'll not say that this is a fraction. 5 upon 2 is a fraction. Okay. Now, fractions primarily are of two types, proper fractions and improper fractions. Now, you must know these two terms because this may be a way of information, a way of giving you information in the question. And if you don't know what are proper and what are improper fractions, then you will be stuck. Okay, so proper fractions are those fractions in which the numerator is less than denominator. For example, 2 upon 5, 7 upon 11, and so on. So where numerator is less than denominator, it will be a proper fraction. And on the other hand, if the numerator is greater than denominator, like 5 by 2, 27 upon 5, and so on, numerator is greater than denominator, such fractions are improper fractions. Now, every improper fraction can be converted in the mixed fraction form. All right. So if I have 27 upon 5, I can very well write it as 5 2 by 5. Okay. So every improper fraction can be converted into a mixed fraction, and these are the different types of fractions. All right. So that is all from my side, my dear friends. Hope this small lecture, short and crisp lecture, would help you in understanding the concepts, the logics of rational and irrational number. All right. So I call it a day for today, and definitely I'll be coming back again and again with some of the requests that you have made. Also, I'll give you some more basic strategy sessions. Now, some useful piece of information for all of you about the upcoming examinations. So, MHCT examination, the tentative date is in the month of March, but before that, in the month of February, we are conducting an All India Open Mock. All right. And the dates when this examination will be live will be starting from February 11 up till February 19. So do register for this All India Open Mock for MHCT using the link that is given in the description. Also, why it is important to start for CAT 2023 preparation now as soon as possible. There is a wonderful session that is being taken by Srinivas sir today at 7 p.m. So make sure that you do attend this session. In case you have any kind of confusion, you may ask your queries. Also on 28th of January at 7 p.m., Vikrant sir will be taking a session on strategy to ace VARC section. So also be a part of this session. You can register for both these sessions using the links that are given in the description. Anyone who wants to enroll for any CAT 2023 program, any of the batches, then the complete details of the comprehensive program are given on your screen. You can enroll in this batch. You can enroll for this program using the link that is given in the description. Also, All India Open Mock for CMAT 2023 is already live. It has started already from 21st of January and it will go up till 29th of January. So make sure that if you are appearing for this examination, taking this mock paper, you can register for this using again the link that is given in the description. So friends, that is all from my side for the day. You can follow us on these platforms. Thank you very much for being a part of this session. Have a wonderful journey towards CAT. Bye-bye.